Attention, all curious minds, innovators, and trendsetters. It's time to pause, lean in, and get ready for an extraordinary journey as we dive deep into the fascinating realms of life, technology, entertainment, and business. Let's explore, learn, and grow together. Brace yourselves, for the next thrilling episodes of Hipther Talks is about to take off. Counting down from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And here we go.
Hi everyone, Zoltan here. We're back again this week with the Hipther Talks, and this time we are talking with Sebastian Lewis, CEO at Plucky. Sebastian, nice to have you here.
Nice to meet you.
All right, I really like the background that you have an award if the people watching this video.
Exactly, yeah. Recent award, so I'm showing it off.
That's so good. All right, so we have this tradition here that we like to give the opportunity for our guest to say a few words about themselves. So take it away, Sebastian.
I'm Sebastian Lewis. I'm the co-founder and chief executive of Plucky.com. I guess I'm what you would call a serial entrepreneur. I'm based in London and have started and co-founded many businesses in technology, in finance, and now more recently in food and beverage. I'm involved in a new restaurant in London as well. So lots of things going on.
All right, so tell us about that award in the background because I'm so curious now.
Yeah, well, so the EGR awards are pretty prestigious awards in the gambling community. Sort of recognizing different elements of casino, iGaming, parts of the sector. And yeah, we won the inaugural Innovator of the Year for 2024.
Congrats.
Is the first one they've done. And yeah, it's a huge accolade because we're a startup business, but we had many competitors in the award, like Kaizen and Entain, who are obviously huge. So to win it as a small startup, it was great.
Well done. See, my brain was like, I cannot do this podcast without knowing what was that award from. All right, so okay, so let's start then. Could you start by sharing a bit about Plucky's journey so far? The award you already know. So, what inspired you to create a platform which focuses on free-to-play and fantasy games, if I'm correct, and of course on entry point to betting?
Yeah, so look, I'm new to the gambling sector. I'm a social gambler myself, so I understand gambling. I've been sort of trading on the Betfair exchange for sort of most of my adult life. So gambling I understand, but I certainly hadn't had a business or a startup in the sector. The story with Plucky all started with my co-founder, Ian Brannigan. Another social gambler, and he had been playing Fantasy Premier League for about 20 years with a group of friends, about 10 or 15 people. And at various times, they had been playing for money, working out who had won that month or scored the most points in the week or won the overall season. And it was that sort of frustration with managing the money, chasing people to put the money in for the winnings, managing the payouts, working out what the scores were. It was that frustration for him that he wondered if we could build an MVP to do that job for him. And we did that 2 years ago. And then we realized if other people wanted to use it, we were going to need a gambling license. And that's when our sort of gambling license journey began.
All right, so how does Plucky approach the idea of attracting, I think you guys call it the alternative betting audience, and who are these players and how do they differ from the traditional bettors?
Yeah, so look, you're really keen, certainly here in the UK, you've got a hugely saturated sportsbook market, which is doing fixed odds across, all sports, politics, anything you can think of, we will gamble on here in the UK. But I think that there's a place for a more casual player, one that's playing fantasy sport and doesn't necessarily have a view on um, the game, but is more keen to have a social bet with friends in regards to backing themselves and thinking that they're the best at that fantasy
Ah,
game. And look, there's a real sort of there's a real audience there that are very, very into playing these fantasy games. I mean, they're they're spending a hell of a lot of time working out, picking their teams and doing all the statistics. So those guys are very confident and keen to back themselves against other people. So we offer both public and private leagues. So you can take on 10,000 people if you want to in a public league, or you can choose to just take on a friend directly in a private league or with 10 or 15 people. So depending on your levels of kind of backing yourself, you can obviously enter that into a public environment. And with the public environments, you obviously get much larger cash amounts that can be won.
all right. So you have the data, you have the inside data. What is the parity? Do people tend to go to the public option, or do they challenge their friends?
So look, we when we first started this, so the first game we monetized with the Telegraph Fantasy Football here in the UK. It's a huge publisher, a huge newspaper, and they have a fantastic fantasy football game that we are now the sort of monetization partner for. Honestly, we felt like when it went live that it would be majority public, but actually we were surprised. It was pretty
Ah,
much 50-50.
all right. That's not the answer I was
No,
looking
not the
for
answer.
in my head, and I thought that more people would go for the public option, but
Yeah, and
yes.
not the answer we were expecting. And look, we anecdotally saw, players doing both, doing both across 5 teams and doing them in different denominations. So we offer you to be able to play in a £5 league or a £20 league. We even have leagues with £50 entry. So you
Ah,
can imagine these are leagues that people really, they really think they're gonna win. They really think they're going to win.
all right. So there is definitely a rise on these paid fantasy leagues, as you mentioned. So do you see it as do you see like fantasy sports as the next frontier in betting, and how does this trend shape Plucky's offerings?
Yeah, so like, I mean, this isn't daily fantasy like the US market. I should probably say that, but
Yeah, it's different.
it's different. But look, there are a lot of fantasy games out there across lots of sports, but there are also, a lot more sports bodies and events that don't have a fantasy game offering a fan engagement platform. So I think as Plucky being that sort of outsourced gambling partner, monetization partner, we're sort of using the phrase gambling as a service. As more and more sports bodies turn on to fan engagement, then of course, we're in a great position to be able to sort of scale out into to multiple partners. In terms of shaping our offerings, we are seeing lots of different types of games coming out. So what we've been talking about so far is that kind of season-long fantasy. I'm going to pick my team, and my team's going to be the best team against everyone else. But we're also seeing games created predictors. So predict all the results that happen this weekend against 10,000 people. We also have a format here called Last Man Standing. So you keep choosing the winners until there's one person left, and then they win all the money. So there's lots of different ways in which people are engaging and using different games and shaping our offerings. It's going to be important to be able to fit that monetization piece in with all of those different types of games.
All right. So when you talk about monetizing an event, can you give us a practical example of what that looks like on Plucky, and why is it effective?
Yeah, so obviously, when we started in fantasy, I think that's where we felt we were going to remain. But we found that actually if we're onboarding customers, we're KYCing them, we're managing their money, we're managing the payouts, actually there's something that can be applied to almost anything. So we are literally looking at kind of any events now, whether that's a television show. And we have lots of reality shows where there is contestants and people like to get a random contestant in the race, as it were. So that's kind of our sweepstake offering. Um, and in a practical sense, we're also looking at it in live environments. So if you've got 80,000 people in a football stadium, is there the opportunity where everybody gets a second in the football match where the goal might be scored and the payouts are managed across everybody within the stadium? So yeah, there's lots of practical examples where Plucky can be applied. And yeah, we haven't found an event where we haven't been able to kind of apply the monetization piece.
All right. So we talked about this subject. My next question would be about the user experience. We talked about this subject in a conference a month ago in Warsaw, and of course this topic came up that the user experience in the betting world is like getting really old. You get the same user interface, the same websites, just a different logo and different colors for a couple of maybe 10 years now. My question would be about how important is user experience in the world of betting, and what specific UX challenges does Plucky address to engage more casual or social players?
Yeah, so I think one of the fundamental user journey elements that we're solving is that we live in the game. And a lot of the time, there's been people out there offering social wagering and saying, oh, you can socially wager on anything and allow people to play their game and then come back to the platform and then have to almost declare the winner or and try and connect those two bits together. With our partnering sort of strategy, we actually live in the game. So when you load up the Telegraph Fantasy Football game, half of the game also has Plucky in it too. So there isn't as any the user journey has been completely solved by keeping it in one place. Now,
All right.
we are the regulated partner, so we have to take the player out of an unregulated environment into a regulated environment, and we have to make sure that that user journey is quick, that we're KYCing that customer super fast and getting them a result and then getting them back to the game as soon as possible. So I would say for us, it's being in the game, is solving that user journey. So we're not having to travel around to too many places to get it done, and then just making that sort of creation of a Plucky account as quick as possible.
All right. So you're making things happen in a different way.
Yeah, yeah, we're trying to put ourselves in the game so that the customer hasn't got to try and connect free to
Yeah.
play playing with betting. We're trying to bring it to the same place.
All right. So you guys also recently integrated a True Layer for open banking. So what impact has this had on the user experience? And of course, I'm also interested in the conversion rates and how does it improve the betting journey for users?
Yeah, well, look, this is directly applies to the previous question. So our partnership with TrueLayer is one where we're trying to solve the sign up, higher deposit rate, quicker information share, um, in the whole account creation piece. And, TrueLayer do a great job. Here in the UK, we have open banking. So one of the fundamental things we've managed to solve is instead of asking the customer for their address, their date of birth, their name to try and understand if they're over 18, we can actually take that information directly from their bank. So for the first time, we're offering sign-ups within seconds where they haven't had to input any of their personal information. They click to connect their bank to Plucky, and once that connection is made, we draw the details down, we check if they're over 18, and we give them a result straight away. So it's TrueLayer partnership with Plucky has has responded to that kind of UX problem. It's very quick.
All right. So you guys are also moving into these competitive socializing venues. And what role do you see social elements playing in the future of this pooled betting?
Yeah, so again, observedly, we these competitive socializing bars are just blowing up. I mean, this 5, 10 years ago, this wasn't a thing. We had games in bars that you could play, but now it's being done using technology. Yesterday I was in a pub here in London and we were playing darts, but everything was being played out on a screen, and we were able to play 10, 15 different types of games just with a technical dartboard. And what you see when you watch people playing these games is they immediately want to play for money. They want to play for money with their friends straight away. And again, we don't carry cash anymore. Um, we want a quick solution. We want to make sure it's safe. We want to make sure it's secure. We want to make sure everyone's over 18. So Plucky integrating directly into some of these live technology platforms within bars is like an obvious step for us. And there's a lot of players. I mean, we've seen some social bars here where already with not many bars processing almost 1 million players.
Oh, that's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah. So your partnership with Genius Sports has started with the Telegraph Fantasy Football. So how did this come about, and how might it develop in the future?
Yeah, so I mean, the partnership with Genius Sports is one where we've become the monetization partner to all of the sports bodies and publishers that they build these fantasy games for. One of the great things when you integrate with Plucky is you're driving customers back to the game on a more regular basis because money's involved. And what you often see when, for example, here we have the UK Premier League season, it's 38 weeks. And often you'll get somebody that picks their team at the beginning of the season, and then you start to see engagement tail off almost to a low amount by game. We have 38 game weeks in a Premier League season. When you start to introduce a small amount of money to be played between friends, and they put that money in on a weekly or monthly basis, the requirement to return and to change your team around and to engage with the game more is kind of obvious. So I think we're providing a longer engagement insight back to Genius and to their partners. And also, there's just this effect of using Plucky to share it with other friends that may not have been in the game before. So, hey, I'm over here playing this for money. Do you want to come and join me? It kind of brings a net new player to the game than who was in it before.
All right. So I'm going to now pick your brain on the entrepreneurial side because you mentioned that you were involved in many scaling of businesses. So as someone with this extensive experience founding and scaling startups, what have been the biggest lessons for you in building a business and in the betting and gaming space, especially?
Yeah, look, betting and gaming would be patience, patience, patience. These things take a long time. We applied for our license in 2022, and we're only just starting to be, recognized and signing big partnership deals. So that's, you're looking at 2 years at least before we were able to understand licensing, to build a product that was within that licensing framework, and then to start to get your product out there, and then to try and talk somebody into signing a partnership deal with you. I mean, on the legal side of gambling, for the right reasons, legals take a very long time. And,
Yeah, it does.
you know, a lot of our deals have been 6 to 12 months in the making. So we're working on ones now that won't be live until probably 2026. And we work on those in 2024. So for me, it would be patience. And I think if you're going to start any startup, but specifically in gambling, I would give yourself as long a road as you possibly can. Raising lots of money and getting through that cash too early is you're always going to be working against some of those longer kind of processes, like signing your first legal deal, getting a gambling license. You want as much road as possible to build it out.
All right, these are some very strong words, and
Yeah.
thank you for them.
Hard lessons have been learned.
Yeah. It's always nice to hear these. So you're definitely excited about the future. So my next question is regarding that. So let's also look forward. You mentioned that you already have projects for 2026. So what excites you the most about the future of Plucky, and where do you see the biggest opportunities for innovation in betting over the next few years? Because this is something that I've asked many people, and every time there's a different answer.
Yeah, look, we're not a sports book, and we're not going to be. We're not a casino, and we're not going to be. So we don't live in that traditional gambling market. I think for our players, I think it's all going to be experiential. It's all about experience. So when I see esports, for example, and I see people wearing headsets and potentially being able to watch a Formula One race with their friends even though they're not together in a virtual space, I think the potential for wagering in those environments is really exciting. And again, I think Plucky hopefully is one of those people that is able to offer that safe and secure regulated environment to be able to do it in those areas. But yeah, I just think experiential wagering socially for me is a lot more interesting than I guess the higher margin game in sports books and casinos. But I think there's a lot more fun to be had on that side, and I think the market could be significant.
All right. So thank you so much for your time, Seb, and
Cool.
thank you to our audience for joining us. And we wish you all the luck with Plucky, and hope to see more news from you guys. And yeah, if you have some shout outs to give to the partners, friends, now is the time to do it.
Yeah, well, look, we've got some great partnerships that been working on recently. Certainly, Genius Sports have been that kind of that first major partner to understand what Plucky's trying to do and give us that platform across all of their partners. So definitely a shout out to them for sure.
All right. Thank you so much. And once again, audience, thank you so much for joining again this week. We will be back again next week, of course, and there are just a couple of editions left from season 3 of the Hipther Talk podcast, because we're resetting the clock in just 1.5 months. So, guys, take good care, everyone. Bye bye.
And that's a wrap for this section of Hipther Talks. Thank you for being a part of our journey today. Don't forget to tune in next week for more insights and discussions. Stay connected with us on Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and more. Until then, keep exploring and keep growing. We'll see you next time.